I still don't get it, I grumbled. The only response I got was a wordless grunt. I sighed and turned my attention back to the fire. There it sat in its pit, mocking me. "Extinguish the fire," he said. I could see his smile, all smug when he did. Of course it wasn't that easy. I was given a bucket. There was a well. It just burst back into flames after I'd soaked it. It was kind of scary, actually. The wood was still wet when it went up again, and the whole thing exploded with steam. When I looked back, the old man still had that smug smile. He put something on me that wouldn't let me get my sight back. I'd woken up that morning, and the dazzling rainbow of magic in the walls wasn't visible anymore. Imagine my shock when my other eye apparently worked too. Stupid old man somehow got rid of my spell. And now here I was. I wasn't allowed to look at how he kept the fire going. I smiled to myself, though. Even if I couldn't see magic, I could still use it. Old man probably knew that. Still, though, it couldn't hurt to try. He hadn't told me not to, after all. I sat down, then, to think. I'll admit I still didn't fully get what he was saying with the prices. Sure, the price didn't have to match the effect, but what did that mean? Even his examples yesterday. I could think of maybe some weirdness linking the stink with the fire. Some things smelled awful when they burned. Was he just lying to me? I could hear him shuffling behind me. Maybe he was getting bored, but he didn't give me a time limit either, so I didn't care. With my legs crossed and the fire crackling in front of me, I racked my brain for a solution. What's the surest way to kill this fire? Obviously, throwing water at it wouldn't work, even ignoring the price of making a bunch of water. Maybe cold? I frowned decisively and shot a glare at the fire. Pushing my thoughts into the line of thought, I screamed in my head, "The wood and fire get cold, and in return the stones of the path behind me get hot." Almost immediately, I heard a quiet chuckle behind me. I had to stop myself from sticking my tongue out to the old man. The fire in front of me was more important anyway. I could see it getting smaller, and frost was starting to grow on the edges of the wood, fueling it. Even as I started feeling some triumph, I began to feel warmth radiating from behind me. The cobblestone shouldn't be getting that hot. What was going on? I glanced back and paled at what I saw. Already 2 of the cobblestones had cracked with the heat, and the ones at the edges of the path were starting to crisp the grass. How strong was this fire? After a moment of indecision, I cut the line of thought, holding the spell, and shot a glare at the old man. He smiled serenely back at me. Well, he was going to cheat, huh? Even as I stared, he gestured at the fire with a hand. The message couldn't have been louder if he'd shouted. I huffed and looked back at the thing. Already the frost was gone and the fuel back to full size. Back to thinking then. If cold and water didn't work, I could get rid of the fuel. I don't think he'd give it to me if I just chucked the whole thing off the clouds, but maybe I didn't have to. It took me a few more minutes of just thinking to work up a concept. The idea was this. He said price didn't have to correlate. That still confused me, but he also said price could be a benefit too. With that idea, I put together another line of thought and focused. The wood of the fire gets destroyed, and in return the stones behind me get duplicated. A faint crunch of wood and the clatter of cobblestones falling onto the path behind me told me of my success, except the fire stuttered for only a moment before settling on a new pile of wood beneath it. Damn it! A quick glance behind me at the old man showed he was still smiling. Somehow this time it didn't feel as condescending though. Maybe I was on the right track. Well, back to prices then. He wanted me to use magic to kill the fire. He was obviously using magic to keep the fire going, too, so... If destroying the fuel didn't work, what if I destroyed whatever spells were making it work? The magic protecting the fire is gone, and in return, what would I use as a price there? There wasn't really an obvious connection there. If anything, I would think the destruction of the magic was a price. But maybe it was. I glanced back at the old man, feeling smug. He raised a brow at me. In response, I just shrugged, looked back at the fire, focused my thoughts on the spell I wanted, and it blinked out of existence. What? The magic protecting the fires is gone, and in return I can see magic again. That was what I'd cast. I was confused for only a moment before remembering my failed attempt earlier this morning. A slow clap behind me shook me from my conflicted thoughts, and I looked back again. He was still smiling. "Done well enough, but you could do better, my apprentice." I stuck my tongue out at him, and he laughed. "Oh, come now. Did you truly think I would allow you to restore your sight so easily?" And just like that, an idea came to me in a flash. Even as the old man continued talking, I formed the thought in my head, focusing everything on making this spell work. The magic keeping me from seeing is gone, and in return I can see again. He paused mid-sentence and raised a brow. I shrunk back a tad, unsure if he was angry or not. A long silence followed before he spoke, and I had to suppress a flinch when he did. "You learn entirely too swiftly, boy. I suppose that is why I have apprenticed you." He let out a quiet sigh of relief, as the reproach in his voice faded, and smiled tentatively. He smiled back. "Come now, we will break our fast and then continue. Your day has only just begun."